FBI Season 7, Episode 15, Acolyte, is designed to be an emotional odyssey for Maggie Bell, subjecting her to considerable turmoil once more. However, the CBS show ultimately prompts viewers to scrutinize Maggie in an atypical manner. Missy Peregrine's character is typically sympathetic, yet by the conclusion of this narrative, audiences will question her actions, regardless of their ostensibly noble intent. The term acolyte indicates a narrative centered on a suspect emulating the actions of Maggie's adversary, Ray DiStefano. The significant distinction is that this imitator kills his victims. Maggie, determined to prevent the deaths of more than 2 women, reaches out to DiStefano for any insights he may offer. The episode employs a conventional narrative and recurrent themes, culminating in the last moments. FBI Season 7, Episode 15 is a conventional narrative involving a serial killer. The case of the week presents no novelty. Regarding the investigation, FBI Season 7, Episode 15 presents nothing novel compared to serial killer episodes in other renowned crime dramas. From the eerie beginning showing the killer torture his first victim to the bureau, needing to decrypt cryptic messages from the bad guy before he can attack again, to the villain personally taunting Maggie. It's all normal stuff for this idea. There's considerable shock value in the opening scene and in the glances of the victims' disfigured bodies, but that doesn't necessarily keep the audience on the hook. It's just painful to see. Audiences have seen the hero has to revisit their first case, and hero has to work with their enemy themes before too. There's nothing wrong with using those ideas again, because they can be successful when done extremely well. Yet FBI doesn't dig enough into the emotional effect that all of this has on Maggie for it to fully catch hold of viewers. The connection between the current crimes and DiStefano isn't introduced immediately, and it almost feels secondary to the narrative progressing through the investigative process. If the writers are going to throw that personal angle in, it's worth committing space to allowing it to breathe, akin to what the program did for Stuart Scola in Season 7, Episode 13, Unearth. Maggie Bell. I'm going to make sure there's nobody else to bury. Maggie gets a couple of prison discussions with DiStefano and a scuffle with the titular acolyte Daryl Lee Ricklin, but that isn't even a growth moment for her. Ricklin is able to get the upper hand, and Scola has to rescue Maggie's life by shooting him. It would have made more sense, thematically, for Maggie to achieve that proverbial victory. The largest development for Maggie is in her love life, and while that's nice, it feels like a pretty low-stakes win compared to the high stakes of the rest of the episode. FBI makes better use of the entire investigative team. The analysts get more play than usual in Episode 15. Acolyte is not without its strengths, notably one that any TV procedural could benefit from. This episode makes particularly good use of the recurrent individuals who conduct all the research work back in the FBI headquarters. Elise, Ian, and Kelly all make substantial contributions to the case, and the show cuts back often enough to remind viewers that they matter. So many times, these types of supporting characters are either employed as walking sources of information for the real heroes out in the field, or as cannon fodder to be thrown in harm's way when a program wishes to increase its stakes a little bit. Not to suggest that the FBI has never done those things, but it's wonderful that this episode deviates from the standard and makes this investigation feel like a joint effort. This is also another opportunity to see Maggie and Scola teamed up. Maggie's typical companion Owe Zidane is missing in action from this episode, which is understandable given the events of FBI Season 7, Episode 14, Hitched. After coming within a few feet of death and his lover being shot, Owe deserves a break. At the same time, it's hard not to wonder how Owe would have reacted to these events and the moments he could have had supporting Maggie. Scola is more than capable of being a partner for her, although Owe and Maggie have always been each other's support system. Plus, would he have been on board with her plot to hide important information from Ray? Thank you for watching.